Hi there, and welcome to the weekly Asylum and Immigration Reform Update, where I share with you 5 recent stories of interest to asylum seekers and those who want to stay current on immigration news. This week, we're discussing
the Supreme Court has upheld President Biden's immigration guidelines, prioritizing the detention of certain unauthorized immigrants based on national security and safety, marking a significant victory against Republican opposition. New data reveals a large decrease in illegal border crossings due to harsher immigration policies, but threatening the right to seek asylum. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is adopting a more extreme immigration stance than Donald Trump, proposing policies like using deadly force against drug traffickers and ending birthright citizenship, aiming to attract right-wing voters. More arrests have been made in connection with a tragic human smuggling case that resulted in 53 deaths in Texas last year, bringing the total number of defendants to 6, all potentially facing life imprisonment if convicted. And a new report indicates that asylum seekers in the fast-tracked Boston dedicated docket are less likely to obtain asylum due to limited access to legal representation.
I'm Brian Manning, and I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now, as an asylum lawyer, I help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. It's my pleasure to bring you asylum and immigration reform updates each week right here on the Political Asylum Lawyers YouTube channel. Okay, let's get to the news. First up,
in a major immigration decision, the Supreme Court has upheld President Biden's immigration guidelines, setting priorities for detaining unauthorized immigrants, overriding the blockade previously set by a federal judge in Texas. The Supreme Court rejected a challenge from Texas and Louisiana, who called for stricter enforcement. They want every unauthorized immigrant to be detained indefinitely. Biden's guidelines, issued in 2021, prioritized the arrest and detention of unauthorized immigrants based on national security, public safety, and border security. Basically, Biden is saying there's no way, due to limited resources, that the administration can detain all asylum seekers when they come to the border, so some will get released into the country, while those that might pose a risk will be detained. This decision is viewed as a major victory for President Biden amidst Republican-led attempts to oppose his administration's immigration policies.
And next up, for update number 2.
Harsh immigration policies do appear to be having the intended effect of discouraging migrants from coming to the southern border to seek asylum, according to new data, which show a significant drop in illegal border crossings recently. Some view this as a breakthrough for President Biden's immigration policies. Recent data from the Border Patrol showed an average of 3,300 migrant arrests per day, down from over 10,000 per day prior to the end of a pandemic-era policy 6 weeks ago. Biden's new asylum restrictions, which automatically reject most migrants who illegally cross into the U.S. without first seeking protection in a country they transited through, have led to an increase in asylum denials, from 18% in late April to 42% in the first half of June. Despite these developments, polls show that nearly 3/4 of Americans believe the government is doing a poor job at the U.S.-Mexico border.
All right, time for our third immigration update.
In the 2024 presidential campaign, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is taking an aggressive stance on immigration, pushing further right than Donald Trump. DeSantis supports using deadly force against suspected drug traffickers at the border. His first formal policy, labeled No Excuses, proposes blocking fentanyl-related chemicals from reaching Mexican ports, working with Panama to close the Darien Gap, ending catch and release, reinstating Remain in Mexico, increasing Border Patrol pay, ending birthright citizenship, and imposing stricter penalties for human trafficking. He also plans to sanction countries not accepting deportees and label Mexican cartels as transnational criminal organizations. DeSantis is trailing behind Trump in polls, but his immigration-focused campaign, which diverges from Trump's strategies, aims to appeal to right-leaning voters dissatisfied with previous administration's efforts.
And moving right along, update number 4.
4 additional men from Mexico have been arrested in connection with a tragic human smuggling case that resulted in 53 deaths near San Antonio, Texas last year, bringing the total number of charged individuals to 6. The accused are part of an organization allegedly responsible for smuggling people from Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico into the U.S. The victims were discovered in an abandoned tractor trailer, lacking a functioning air conditioning system on a day when temperatures reached 100 degrees. All 4 men face charges of conspiracy to transport and transportation of migrants illegally, resulting in death and serious injury. If convicted, they could face life imprisonment. 2 other men charged last year face similar potential penalties.
And finally, our 5th immigration update for this week.
A report from the Harvard Immigration and Refugee Clinical Program reveals that asylum seekers assigned to the Boston-dedicated docket, a fast-tracked immigration court, are less likely to obtain asylum due to limited access to legal representation. Over 1,600 people, making up 34% of completed cases, have been ordered removed since August 2022. In contrast, only 4% of people have been granted asylum. Most asylum seekers are from Brazil and 40% are children. Legal service providers are overburdened, and the unpredictability of the docket makes legal representation more difficult. The report recommends terminating the dedicated docket to safeguard asylum seekers' rights and access to justice. To date, no official response has been received regarding the report's findings.
And that wraps up this week's immigration news. If you want to win asylum in the United States, then you should call my office today. That number is 713-352-1593. We help people all over the country, so it doesn't matter where you are. Call us now to schedule an asylum strategy session so that we can help you to secure your future in America through asylum. Again, I'm Brian Manning, and it's an honor to serve you in your immigration journey.